Hello, my name is Robert, and I've been a public school math teacher for many years. This is a free Algebra 1 math class for those who wish to refresh their algebra skills. Now, we previously had gone through all the different pre algebra skills that you would need to be able to go through this course successfully. And so we looked at different sets of numbers. We looked at uh, um, uh, evaluating expressions. We've considered converting fractions to decimals, decimals to percentages, fractions to percentages, and percentages to decimals. We also worked with exponents. We looked at not only our normal exponents, which are positive whole numbers, but also we looked at what happens if you have an exponent that is zero, or what if you have an exponent that is negative, or if you have a fraction as an exponent. We reviewed different terms that we need to know for Algebra 1 for working with equations like a variable. And what is a variable? It's a letter or multiple letters that represent some quantity that may change or is unknown. We looked at the definition of a term, which is a number or variable with a coefficient. We looked at combining like terms and when we can add terms together. We practiced evaluating expressions. We also worked on solving one-step equations, and that's what we did last time. So we talked about how we do the opposite of the order of operations when we're solving equations. And now let's just practice a little bit more with some of our one step equations. So we have a problem 2/3 x equals 4. So when I have a coefficient in front of a variable, we talked about this last time, then it means it's multiplication. And we need to do the opposite of the operation in order to isolate the variable. So 2/3 is multiplied by x. So what is the opposite of 2/3? It is 3/2. If I multiply 2/3 by 3/2, then I end up with 1, which is our goal because we want to get x by itself. And if I do it to one side of my equation, I have to do it to the other or I'll change the equation. So I put 3/2 on both sides. And so now I'm multiplying both sides by 3/2. 3/2 times 2/3. That cancels out. That leaves us with just x on the left-hand side of the equation. And then we have 4 times 3/2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. And so we have x equals 6. Now, our next problem is 5/3 x equals 15. The opposite of 5/3 is 3/5. So we'll multiply both sides by 3/5 because, again, the opposite of 5/3 is 3/5 because when we multiply them together, we get 1. So that's our objective, is to isolate the variable. And it's important to remember that when we're multiplying it by the inverse, that's the same thing as if we divided by the fraction. So multiplying 5/3 by 3/5 is the same thing as dividing 5/3 by 5/3. When we do that to both sides, then I get x on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I get 9. Okay, so 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so what if we have another one? X plus 4/3 equals 2. So now uh, I'm looking again at what is the opposite of addition. So because I want to get the x by itself, I want to isolate x, then since I'm adding 4/3 to x on the left hand side, I need to subtract 4/3. And again, if I do it to one side, I have to do it to both sides. So I have to do it to the other side as well. So that means I subtract 4/3 from both sides. When I do that, I get x by itself. And then I have 2 minus 4/3. 2 equals 6/3. So 6/3 minus 4/3 is 2/3. And so I get x equals 2/3. Okay, now what if I have x minus 1/5 equals 9/5? Well, what is, I see I have subtraction. What's the opposite of subtraction? Addition. So I need to add 1/5 to both sides. When I do that, I, I get x by itself on the left hand side, and I get 10/5, which is equal to 2 on the right hand side. Now, what if I have 30 divided by x equals 6? Okay, so that it, it it looks like it's more than one one step, even though it at first you might think that it is just one step, but really it becomes more than one step, because when we're writing 30 divided by x, then what we have is 30 over x. So when we do that, when we write it as 30 divided by x, then that helps to clarify things. So I want to get rid of the x in the denominator. So that means I have to multiply both sides by x over 30. And so now I've got 1 equals 6x over 30. And then I multiply both sides by 30 over 6. So the point of all of that is it looks like it's just one step, but it's actually more than one. Okay, so finally, what if we have a negative coefficient, like negative x equals 13? Then I divide both sides by -1. When I do that, I get x equals -13. So these are some practice problems that we reviewed together. Some other problems that you can work on by yourself would be one, 3/5 x equals 6. So that's 3/5 x equals 6. Number 2, 2/3 x equals 4. Number 3, x minus 4 equals 5. And number 4, 3x equals 18. So we have 3/5 x equals 6. That's the first problem. Number 2, 2/3 x equals 4. Number 3, x minus 4 equals 5. And number 4, 3x equals 18. So we've been practicing solving one-step equations. I hope that this was helpful. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you have a great day.